Hello. We want to thank you, the Nike executive team, for taking the time to join us today. My name is Jamie, and my co-presenter is Tiffany.
Hello.
We were hired by the COO, Eric Sprunk, to examine the current standing of Nike in the industry. Our firm, J&T International, has extensive experience in market research, providing detailed reports to clients such as Apple, Costco, and many more. The COO wanted to bring our firm in to provide an unbiased opinion of your company, as there has been quite a bit of activity in your industry lately. During this presentation, we will review the competitive landscape, assessment of recent decisions, and recommendations of future company moves.
So what does Nike do best? The company always associates itself with the biggest names in the industry. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. You always make an impression. Like the 1991 It's Gotta Be Shoes campaign with Mars Blackman. Your messaging is unfailingly consistent. The Nike Just Do It slogan, which has been iconic for nearly 30 years, and you'll hear me speak about many times in this presentation, as well as the swoosh, which has been around even longer. You sponsor college sports teams and always keep it cool. In 2012, it was the Oregon Ducks, home to your own Phil Knight, and now teams like Ohio State. As we all know, Nike's brand identity, along with its strong marketing, has been a key factor behind its global success. You focus on creating great products, tell compelling stories, and seize every opportunity to increase the gap between us and them. Nike is a strong competitive leader in the athletic apparel and footwear industry across every dimension. By geography, by product type, where the innovation drives you, and now by sports performance categories where Nike has the most focus. When you do these things successfully, Nike will become an even larger, more profitable, and ultimately more valuable company. Each brand speaks to a different, clearly defined consumer, which broaden your horizon, opportunities for long-term growth, and even as Nike as a whole benefits from the diversity of the brand portfolio, Nike is also leveraging all of the resources and core competencies in the product, marketing, and innovation fields to drive consistent growth and profitability. Nike's distinctive competency lies in the area of marketing, particularly in the area of consumer brand awareness and brand power. While the reasons that Nike is successful in marketing your products are numerous, this distinctive competency towers over your competitors. As a result, Nike's market share is number one in the athletic footwear industry. Catchphrases like "Just Do It" and the Nike swoosh, coupled with sports icons to serve an instant reminder of the Nike empire. Two key attributes of a distinctive competency are its inability to easily replicated and the value of benefit it offers consumers. As Nike becomes a more integrated part of American and world culture, your brand power becomes increasingly difficult to replicate. The premise of a trademark and a slogan is that they're a company's fingerprints. Like Nike reaches millions of consumers through large-scale marketing campaigns. Few companies have such a recognizable image and the resources to promote it. This ultimately translates into an added value for consumers. For decades, consumers have come to associate the Nike image with quality products. By associating star athletes and motivational slogans with marketing campaigns that emphasize fitness, competition, and sportsmanship, consumers identify their purchases with the products and the prospect of achieving greatness. So how did Nike reach the pinnacle of sports world and become a corporate juggernaut? It wasn't because of their shoes. Nike dominates the sports gear industry because of their brilliant branding strategies. Nike attributes a lot of its success to the brand worldwide marketing campaign, which uses sponsorship agreements with celebrity athletes, professional sports teams, and college athletic teams to use their products and in return promote their technology and design. In 2013, Nike spent about $1 billion on advertising in the United States alone. After decades of phenomenal growth and becoming one of the world's top brands, Nike intentionally shifted its strategy to integrate sustainability as a vehicle for growth and subsequently establishing one of the first corporate responsibility departments and now set the bar in embedding sustainability into business practice. Sustainability has become a business imperative, an innovation opportunity, and a potential competitive advantage. As CEO Mark Parker notes, the age of abundance is over. The definition of business performance is expanding. Innovation is being redefined. Expectations are being redefined. At Nike, we believe the world must innovate faster for growth that is for all good. By 2001, you established Nike's Board of Directors Corporate Responsibility Committee, set long-term environmental goals, and jointly published worker survey findings with the Global Alliance. Now Nike was embarking on a journey to understand the true power of transparency, collaboration, and governance. Innovation is your deepest core competency. The legacy of innovation in search of better, lighter, faster product performance evolved and deepened over time. It drives every department, process, and person in your company. From the product design process through production, marketing, and distribution, Phil and Bill had a vision that sparked and guided their innovation and approach. While the business has evolved and grown exponentially, that single-minded vision continues to feed innovative thinking, design, and business practices today. I know I've just given you a ton of information, so let me break it down a bit, shall we? Simply put, Nike has strong marketing strategies and extensive R&D capabilities. Now let's break out creation of value through global expansion, which we have done in this slide. The first hemisphere, transfer core competencies, products, marketing, innovation. The second hemisphere, you established a global network, global corporate leadership, semi-autonomous geographic divisions, and global divisions for Converse and the Nike brand license. Third hemisphere, use of global licensing, learning to enhance use of global learning to enhance core competencies. You began to focus on waste reduction and reducing water usage. And in the final hemisphere, bringing us full circle, gaining access to global skills and resources. Sustainable innovation is a catalyst for revolutionizing the way Nike does business and an opportunity that's been integrated across business and policies, processes, and products. Nike's organizational structure has global corporate leadership, which involves corporate managers. The managers have offices in the company's headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. They decide for global organizational structure of Nike. The semi-autonomous geographic divisions are major organizational structure characteristics of Nike. The company's operations are divided into segments based on regional markets. Each regional division's manager optimizes operations in the regional sports, shoes, and apparel and equipment markets. Nike's organizational structure also has two global divisions, one for Converse and the other for Nike brand. Nike Inc.'s organizational structures characteristics sports growth and stability. Global corporate leadership has the advantage of facilitating control on the entire organization. The advantage of the semi-autonomous regional divisions is flexibility in satisfying regional market-specific consumer preferences for Nike's athletic shoes, apparel, and equipment. In addition to being one of the 8 companies who are testing the world's first 3D printer designed for large-scale manufacturing, Nike's patents have nearly doubled since 2009, and the company has the 3rd largest U.S. portfolio of design patents. This clearly indicates Nike's focus on product innovation and technology to create a manufacturing edge for itself. Globally, Nike has 19,500 patents, which is significantly higher compared to Adidas, who has around 2,400. While Nike has an ambitious revenue target for 2020, the company plans to achieve this as sustainably as possible. Recycled materials are being used in 71% of Nike's footwear and apparel products, and the company plans to send zero waste from contracted footwear manufacturing to landfills by fiscal year 2020. An example of this innovation is Nike's Flyknit, which features a one-piece upper in the shoe and doesn't require multiple cuts that are typically used to build sports shoe. Since this innovation eliminates waste, the use of this technology has reduced Nike's environmental footprint by 3.5 million pounds of waste. Nike is looking at innovative manufacturing techniques to increase scale and in a sustainable way. The company plans to work with fewer, better contract factories in an effort to overhaul its manufacturing operations. Nike has created a portfolio of brands capable of reaching across multiple sports lifestyle categories and price points. Each brand speaks to a different, clearly defined consumer, which diversifies opportunities for long-term growth. And even as the company benefits from the diversity of the brand portfolio, you're also leveraging resources and core competencies in product, marketing, and innovation to drive consistent growth and profitability. You sell your products in 170 countries. You have more than 30,000 worldwide employees and have a dozen brands that serve more than 30 major sports and consumer lifestyles. Nike works with 600 plus factory partners and serves millions of consumers with thousands of products. Since 2005, more than 50% of your revenue has come from outside the U.S., with leadership positions in established markets like U.S., Western Europe, and emerging markets like China and Brazil. Knowing all of this, you have tremendous and unique opportunities to grow. As per our estimates, footwear is the most valuable segment for Nike, accounting for nearly 4% of its valuation. We expect Nike's global market share in the footwear market to increase steadily from 23% to around 30% by the end of 2020. From a sleepy little town in Oregon, Nike has grown into the world's largest athletic footwear and apparel company. It's hard to believe you started with a shoe and a t-shirt. Today, you are a diversified and complex global organization modeled and built on partnerships, athletes, teams, retailers, manufacturers, and supply chain providers. You work with the best of the best all over the world, and you do it all with a singular purpose: to serve the needs of your global consumers. Pipeline businesses like Nike have traditionally scaled in one of two ways. Some expand by vertical integration, owning and integrating a greater length of the value creation and delivery pipeline, for example, buying upstream suppliers or downstream distributors. Others expand by widening the pipeline to push more value through it. Consumer goods companies grow by creating new products and brands. It's an example of horizontal integration. Like many other companies, Nike has also been developing apps, in this case, apps relating to sports and fitness. While these might seem like traditional product line extensions, Nike actually testing an approach that, if successful, will lead to a new form of growth, one pioneered by platform businesses like Apple. Forever forward-thinking and always ahead of the game, in May 2010, Nike unveiled its 2015 strategy and key initiatives to achieve sustainable long-term growth and a cross-global portfolio of brands and businesses. Geographic opportunities. The company announced a plan to grow the Nike brand in all 6 of its geographies, including driving mid-single-digit growth through broader expansions in the developed geographies of North America, Western Europe, and Japan. Also highlighted was an increased focus on working with retail partners to create more elevated, differentiated consumer experiences, including execution of category segmented concepts within key markets. The primary financial objectives through 2015 included the following: high single-digit revenue growth, mid-teens earning per share growth, return on invested capital, increased dividends within a target calendar year payout range of 20 to 35%. But what actually was achieved was revenues up to 8% to $9.1 billion, which is a 10% growth, diluted earnings per share up 9% to 73 cents compared to prior year, worldwide future orders up 5%, which is a 7% growth, and inventories as of August 31st, 2016 were up 11%.
Thank you, Tiffany. Athletic apparel is trending this year, as obvious by what Tiffany just reviewed in the last slide. While this industry is part of the overall apparel industry, it does not follow the same path. Often, when the apparel market has struggled to win over shoppers, Nike and other athletic apparel companies have reported strong, consistent growth. This is great news for Nike. However, this also means that Nike is experiencing strong competition, and it is only increasing. Adidas has been a long-time competitor, and they have been experiencing a resurgence in recent years. Under Armour is growing at an alarming rate. Their recent endorsement of NBA star Curry is direct competition with Nike. Nike must keep a watchful eye on this, as it has the potential to seriously damage the reputation and domination that Nike has in the world of basketball. Nike should also keep a watchful eye for other emerging brands. With this industry being so hot right now, it would not be surprising for another competitor to rise. While there is intense competition in the athletic apparel industry, it must be well noted that Nike possesses advantages over these competitors that are not easily copied. First and foremost, Nike's core is innovation. At the cutting edge of technology, Nike focuses on constant improvement and innovation. This behavior is actually embedded into the culture of the organization. This leads into Nike being able to offer must-have products. Think of when Air Jordans first came out. Everyone just had to have them. The ability for Nike to repetitively create products that have high demand is a feat not matched by any competitor to date. The perceived need for these products from customers produces an intense brand loyalty. Focusing on improving and keeping these sustainable competitive advantages will help ensure Nike stays on top. Organizations go through life cycles much like people do. This corporate life cycle encompasses the stages of birth, growth, decline, and death. Obviously, Nike is well past the birth stage. The decline stage is characterized by failure to recognize or adapt to external or internal pressures that threaten the long-term survival of the company. Our assessment of Nike does not recognize any signals of immediate threats. What it does show is that there is a decline of Nike stock price. There are also some concerns based upon the competitive landscape assessment provided earlier. While there is no immediate threat to the long-term survival of Nike, there should be concern about the encroachment of competitors onto Nike's turf. To keep Nike safe, management needs to be aware of the possibility of decline and ways to recognize it. Decline actually occurs in stages. All of the stages are listed here, but I would like to direct your attention to the first two. In the blinded stage, organizations are unable to recognize the internal or external forces and problems that threaten the long-term survival. While our research has not discovered any indications of issues currently present in Nike, management needs to be aware of the warning signs so that corrective actions can be taken if necessary. If management fails to recognize these signs, the organization enters into the second stage of decline, inaction. This is characterized by failure to act. As you can imagine, this begins the slippery slope towards crisis and eventual dissolution. Another way to avoid organizational decline is to make good decisions. Organizational decision-making occurs in two ways: programmed and non-programmed decisions. Programmed decisions are repetitive and routine and typically guided by rules, routines, or standard operating procedures. Non-programmed decisions are novel and unstructured. These decisions allow organizations to find solutions to changing and uncertain conditions. Encouraging managers to use the proper decision-making methods will help ensure that these decisions are effective and efficient. Decisions are not always so cut and dry. In this case, the Carnegie model can provide a basis for the decision-making process. In this process, the manager faces uncertainty or conflict. This is escalated to a team where the discussions are held. From this discussion, a search is conducted, and the first alternative that is accepted by the coalition is adopted. It is recognized that decision-making is subjective, and the quality of the decision depends largely on the manager's prior experience, knowledge, beliefs, and intuition. Remember that we are trying to avoid organizational decline by improving the decision-making and analytical skills of managers. This model provides an efficient way to make good, non-programmed decisions. As you may have picked up on, the decisions being made are essentially only as good as the manager making the decisions. So how does a company protect themselves from poor managers making poor decisions? Organizational learning is where higher level managers attempt to increase other managers and employees' understanding of the organizational environment, so that these decisions being made are continuously raising the effectiveness of the organization. There are two ways of organizational learning: exploration and exploitation. Exploration involves members looking for new procedures to increase organizational effectiveness. Exploitation is where members look to improve the existing procedures. These types of learning can occur at several different levels within the organization and even between organizations in a value chain. Learning can be improved and encouraged. Nike has an adaptive culture, one that values innovation. This encourages experimenting and risk-taking by all employees and increases organizational learning. This culture is very useful in avoiding organizational decline as it allows the organization to adapt quickly to changes in the environment. But remember, managers must pay attention to changes in the environment that may be signaling an organizational decline. Avoiding the blinded stage of decline is key. To avoid this, managers must be aware of biases that may exist that could affect their learning and decision-making ability. These biases can change based on the individual and are listed on the slide above. Learning begins at the top of an organization. That means you have the ability and responsibility to encourage this behavior. The more that you share information between departments, the more organizational learning occurs. Other strategies for organizational learning are listed here. I'd like to focus on game theory for a minute. This is a fun method and is extremely useful in a sports-driven industry. Using the game theory, managers set the stage as if it were a competitive game. Opponents are other competitors in the industry. This forces employees to both consider the initial impacts of their decision and the long-term effects. Let's use a marathon, for example. If a person decides to run fast at the beginning, they run the risk of exhaustion and losing the race at the end. Managers can view their decisions in the same way. Remember that the main focus here is to promote organizational learning so that managers can make better decisions and the organization can ultimately avoid decline. Nike began with just shoes. Since then, the company has expanded to become more of a generalist in the sports industry. As you know, Nike is one of the most widely known brands in the world. While Nike has done a fantastic job at dominating this industry, being spread so wide leaves Nike susceptible to attacks from specialist competitors. As reviewed in the competitive landscape, current advances by Under Armour and Adidas should be of great concern to you. Our firm agrees with the recent decisions to leave the golf equipment industry and also to sell off Cole Haan. Our assessment indicates that Nike should further reduce the span of the company to focus in on its core competencies and protect the company from encroachment by competitors. As discussed previously, Nike and its managers must be aware of the stages of decline and protect itself by making good decisions and increasing organizational learning.
Thank you, Jamie. Mr. Sprunk and your company has hired us to think for you. So in conclusion, we believe investment in better technology will aid in the company's efforts in this direction. Whether Nike will be able to meet its ambitious revenue targets remains to be seen, although it is taking the right steps in this direction. Let what we have brought to you today help guide your future movements. Let sustainability and innovation be your guide. And remember, the name Nike was chosen for the Greek winged goddess of victory. And as the Greeks would say, when we go to battle, we win. Synonymous with the honored conquest, Nike is the 20th century footwear that lifts the world's greatest athletes to new levels of mastery and achievement. The Nike swoosh embodies the spirit of the winged goddess who inspired the most courageous and chivalrous warriors at the dawn of the civilization.
This concludes our presentation. We want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you all.